Good morning, welcome to another video from the Wheelman. Today we've got a bit of a classic car, a car that when I was younger was always something I dreamed of having. We've got a Peugeot 205 GTI. Those of you who are old enough will always remember that it was always a toss-up between the Peugeot 205 GTI or the Renault 5. Personally, I quite like this one. There's loads of people on my estate who had really souped up, modified Renault 5s, looked amazing, but I don't know, I always seem to like the Peugeot 205 GTI. This one, it's actually in pretty good condition. Typical of a classic car. It's arrived and it's got fluids leaking from underneath. Obviously that's the customer's problem. He's brought it in to sort out the wheels, which, considering the age of the car, actually aren't too bad. Those of you who know anything about these wheels are aware that it's actually got a quite unusual design. Makes it impossible for us to balance the wheel because it actually doesn't have a centre cap that's removable. So normally our balancer, the rod needs to go through there to connect it onto the balancer so we can actually balance it and balance the tyre against the wheel. So unfortunately when we bought our balancer we was given the option to buy the adapter for these types of wheels, and I mean I've literally never seen a set of these wheels in the whole time we've been going, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I didn't buy the adapter. The only problem is I won't be able to balance these after we've refurbed the wheels like we normally would do. I've spoken to the customer about that. He's fully aware. He's going to take it to another tyre shop near to him who I'm pretty certain have got the adapter. First stage is always getting the car up in the air so we can get the wheels off the car, and then we'll start getting the tyres off. So let's get to that. Right, so we've got the car up on these stands. It's quite a clever piece of kit, this is. Shout out to Ian at Hillian Engineering. He does these things called gorilla stands. Absolutely fantastic. They've saved our skin a few times. Sometimes with cars, particularly like this classic car here, we don't really want to leave it on axle stands. We don't want to go jacking in spots other than the actual jacking spot, which makes it difficult then obviously to leave it on axle stands or whatever else. Sticking it on those instead just makes it an awful lot easier. It's as if the car is sitting on wheels, so it makes it safer. I know there's no issue of damaging any of the underside of the car when we're jacking it up, so yeah, they're an absolute lifesaver, these are. Next step is getting the tyres off of these wheels and we'll get them stripped in the acid. So, onto the tyre removal. First we'll let the air out of the tyres, and then we use the bead breaker on the tyre machine to break the bead of the tyre on the front and back of the wheels. Wheels are then clamped onto the machine using the jaws, and the tyres are carefully removed using a tyre iron. This process is followed for each wheel. Okay, we've just got the tyres off these wheels, just having a quick inspection. Normally at this point we take all the weights off the back of the wheel, and funny enough there's actually no weights on these wheels, so I think whoever's put the tyres on last has probably ran into the same problem I was going to have, which is that they can't actually fit the wheels on their balancer. So yeah, next stage, let's get these into the acid and let's get them stripped, and then we can have a look at them when it's just bare metal. Yeah, just forgot to show the front of the wheels as well. Like I said, they're not in too bad condition. Bits of corrosion here where it was once upon a time diamond cut. You've got bits of corrosion here, paint flake. Bits of paint flake there as well. A little bit of curb damage. For the age of these wheels, these are in really good condition, so that's not too bad. Next step, get them in the acid. Right, so we've got the wheels out of the acid, they're completely stripped back to metal. gives us a great opportunity to see exactly what the condition of the metal is. As we first thought, it's actually not that bad. You can see there's quite a bit of surface corrosion, a little bit of curb damage. We get asked a lot about what sort of techniques and processes we use to, you know, to refurb the wheels, to prep them and that sort of thing. So we use sanding discs. We use a range of different grits. We tend to finish on a 40 grit disc. Unlike painting, it doesn't matter if we have some of the sand marks still left on the wheel, because the powder's so thick that it tends to cover a lot of the imperfections of the wheel, which is great. We also use an angle grinder if we really need to get rid of a lot of curb damage. And then after that we use a blaster just to blast the metal. It just keys up the surface of the metal, so when we come to powder coat it, it has a much larger surface area, it sticks to the wheel better. But for now, I'm just going to start sanding away the curb damage. On the inside of the bowl, there's also a fair bit of corrosion, but it's just surface corrosion again, which is great. So we'll blast all this. The whole wheel gets blasted. We'll do this for all 4 wheels, and then we'll get them ready to go into the oven with hanging hooks, where they'll go for the outgas process, which is the next stage, which is as crucial as the prep stage. We'll get onto that now. So I've just been using the angle grinder and also the DA as well, just to smooth off and sand out all these bits of curb damage around the sides. There's actually quite a lot of corrosion as well, so really deep pitting, which is why we got the angle grinder out. We've just got rid of as much as we can on the face. Obviously we don't want to take too much off and it completely distort the shape of the wheel, so we're doing our best just to smooth it round, to get rid of as much of that as we can. If there's small little pinpricks or imperfections on the wheel, hopefully when we hit it with the high build primer, that's going to cover most of that. There is a certain expectation. We always make sure we talk to our customers. There is you know, certain managements of expectations. It's an old wheel. This is probably, I don't know, well over 25 years old if it's an original wheel, and I think it is. It's never going to be perfect. We never offer a perfect service. We just try and get it back to being as close to being perfect as we can. So hopefully when we blast away all inside here, we're going to get rid of as much of that surface corrosion. But when we hit it with the high build primer first, that's going to cover a lot of these imperfections. So this one now is ready for the blasting cabinet. I'm just going to continue going through the other 3 wheels, just sanding away all the damage before we get them into the blasting cabinet. Although we've shortened this down to around 30 seconds, this stage can sometimes take as long as 20 to 30 minutes per wheel. It's so crucial that you get the prep stage right. Anything you miss will only show up later in the powder coat process and be visible in the final result. It's all about the prep and outgas. Right, that's the 4th wheel, all sanded now, ready for the blasting cabinet. Just show you inside here, we've just got the blasting cabinet. We've got a foot pedal down here that we can press, and it blasts all the media down this gun against the wheel, and we can see through the glass. Need to replace the screen in a second so we can see better, but we'll be able to see the wheeler through there and control through the pedal how much sand is blasted at the wheel to get rid of all that corrosion and key it up like we said before. This is what's being blasted at it. It's a very fine aluminium oxide. Again, we use a 40 grit aluminium oxide. It just helps to key up the wheel, get rid of all this corrosion that you see. So next stage, getting these in the blaster. We'll get them ready for the oven. Blasting is the final part of the prep stage. We use a manual blaster, so each wheel is hand blasted inside and out to key the surface of the wheel and remove as much corrosion as possible. It can take anything from 5 to 20 minutes per wheel depending on the size, design and damage. One day we'll eventually move on to an auto blaster instead, which will speed this entire process up, but for now we've still got 4 wheels to blast. Next step is getting the wheels ready for the oven to outgas. Dust is blown off each wheel and a masking disc is applied to the hub. Wheels are loaded into the oven and baked at 200 degrees. This stage is called outgassing and takes around 30 minutes. Once outgassed, wheels are hung in the booth ready to powder coat. First we apply a powder coat primer to the entirety of each wheel inside and out, and then dust the silver powder coat across the face. The two powders will melt together and bake once returned to the oven. This process is followed for each wheel and left to bake for around 20 minutes before moving on to the lacquer stage. Once they've baked to the correct temperature, wheels are then removed from the oven and left to cool briefly before applying the lacquer. Lacquer is applied to the entire wheel inside and out and then returned to the oven for the final bake cycle. This usually takes around 20 to 30 minutes. Wheels are then left to cool before moving on to the tyre fitting. This is the final result. As you can see, all the writing on the wheel is still clearly visible and all the curb damage and corrosion isn't. We couldn't be happier with the outcome. Second to last stage, tyre fitting. We need to be so careful not to damage the wheels when refitting the tyres. The last thing we want is to have to do the entire process all over again. New valve stems are snapped into place and each tyre is mounted. Tyres are then inflated and would usually be balanced. In this case, tyres are dressed with tyre shine and ready to go back onto the car. And here they are. Fortunately, these wheels were in good condition to start with, which has made all the difference to the final outcome. Let's get these back onto the car. Final stage, refitting the wheels back onto the car. The gorilla stands are removed and each wheel is replaced. Once the car is lowered back to the ground, each wheel is then torqued back to spec. And there we have it, a fully refurbished set of wheels on a Peugeot 205 GTI. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments down below what you think to these wheels. We're based in Langley Mill, Nottingham. If you'd like to have your wheels refurbished, our contact details are in the description below. Thanks for watching this, and we'll see you again very soon.